Welcome to the Blind Android Users channel. This is your source for everything Android, tutorials and demos, all from a blindness perspective. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content like this.
Hello and welcome to episode 95 of the Blind Android Users Podcast. I'm Ed Green and I'm joined this week by my co-hosts Warren Carr, Austin Pinto, Fee Dunn, John Dyer, Marion Mosen and Doug Cameron. And we have some special guests joining us this week as well. And we're coming to you on Saturday, the 1st of October, 2022. On this episode, we have our usual announcement section from Austin. And then I'm delighted to say we're joined by two special guests for a spotlight double bill. First, we're joined by Diane Ducharme from Blindshell to talk about the Blindshell Classic 2, a smartphone that has buttons. And we're also joined by our friend Salih Kunduz from Turkey to talk about our sister site over there and what they're doing to log and review apps. So, how is everyone? Tractor Man, how are you?
I'm doing good. It's been raining a lot here. We got a little bit of the most recent hurricane, so lots of rain and wind, but today it's nice again. It's almost back up to 80 degrees, so still a little bit of summer left, I guess, here in Virginia.
No. If we let Blindshell take over your development, as you'll hear in a little while, they have quite a lot of feature drops. You might have made your Joe Average upgrade by now.
Yeah, maybe.
But Motorola got the contract, so there we are.
Unfortunately.
iPhone, how are you?
Good but tired. I've been to a preacher's meeting today because I'm a trainee preacher, but it wasn't just for trainees. It was for all the local preachers and worship leaders. And we were talking about Jonah and the whale and the whole story of Jonah and how we'd make that into a service and things. So it was fun, but I'm rather tired now. And this week, well, the weather was lovely today. We've had some rain and stuff during the week, but we haven't had any nasty storms or anything. And since last week when we recorded, Storm Fiona has cut out a lot of power in parts of Canada. So, watch out. I'm a stormy person.
Yeah. And the pupil of a preacher man.
Yeah, it's actually a woman, Ed, but doesn't scam with the song then, does it? So yeah.
No, but still, you can there's still a debate about chairman whether women want to use that, isn't there? So and fielding at third man in women's cricket, I think is still acceptable. It's not third or third woman. So I think there are certain circs in which we can be gender fluid.
Yeah, especially if it means you can shoehorn a bit of a song into something. It's
absolutely.
It's good.
Excellent. Mazimu, what's going on with the pyramids?
The pyramids are doing great. I actually want to visit them, by the way. I think I'm going to Cairo pretty soon. But it's been a crazy week. I'm really tired. I had a gig on Thursday, and I've been working on some musical projects of mine. Yeah, it's been a crazy week. The weather's starting to get colder, and I'm happy with that. And that's basically it.
Yeah, sounds fun.
I was eating pyramids. You might want to know.
Oh,
because they had Toblerone bars on special offer, and each piece is a pyramid. So I was eating them.
I love Toblerone. Which one was it? The dark one or like the white chocolate one?
It was they had new ones. One was the almond one, and another one was the caramel one.
Oh yeah,
they were so nice.
Oh yeah.
Are they still smaller? Still more of a gap?
I think there's more of a gap. They were quite long, biggish ones. They weren't the little ones. They were the ones in a cardboard box. A bit like the ones you get in the duty free shop.
Yeah, but they got accused of changing the size a few years ago, didn't they? And giving.
I expect they have. And it does seem like there's more of a gap between the pieces.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, they got done for that.
Mm-hmm.
But it still tastes nice.
Found out.
No, done. Fiona done. Be done. Yeah. Yeah,
iPhone
well,
is done.
yeah,
Done
because
button.
there's a storm. It could be a storm about it all.
Yeah,
But,
and you're a button as well, the done button.
Oh, I see. Yeah, they spell it wrong though.
They do. They don't know how to spell done properly.
No, they don't. But yeah, so I was eating pyramids, and they were very nice. And now there are no longer Toblerones
Yeah,
in my
I
cupboard
love
because they've gone somewhere safer.
Oh yeah.
Duckaboo, what's happening?
Not too much. Crazy week with work, doing a lot of stuff, a lot of social media stuff for the Truth Reconciliation Day. That was yesterday. So had a whole lot of moderating on our social media pages. Yeah, other than that, it's been pretty decent. Hearing about the East Coast, one of my coworkers is out there and he was without power for, I think he said about 2 days. Otherwise it's just hit and miss. So, across Canada, they're doing a lot of cleanup out that way.
Yeah, I bet they are. Down in Florida too. Hope everyone there is safe and pulling through. Warren, what's happening?
Not too much going on. We've just probably having a little bit of that effect, even this far out west. And we had some good rain a couple of days ago. And so while it may not be comparable to what you guys are having, but at least we have some rain out of it. I wish we didn't have that thing happening to you guys. But other than that, we're doing just well.
And Austin, how are you?
So it looks like there is still some summer left. One side of the city it rains, another side it's sunny. So we have a massive thunderstorm today just before recording. And I thought that the power might go out and we might be on generator for some time. But luckily the storm has passed. So other than that, nothing. The weather is been pretty up and down, but as we enter October, it's going to get very hot.
Yeah, I bet it will. And I'm glad the thunderstorm didn't presage any pathetic fallacy for the episode. We still seem to be on the air, no disasters or anything like that. Key question for you, though, Austin. Are you going to be supporting the old country against Pakistan in the T20 decider tomorrow?
Yeah, definitely. I'll be supporting tomorrow. In tomorrow's decider, I hope the best team wins.
That you mean you hope England win? Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
Yeah, oh, good.
No, I hope England win.
Excellent. I should apologise for the voice, by the way. Unusually for me, it's not because I've had a load of beer, it's because I've lost a crown, so I'm lisping slightly. So beer is not this time to blame.
Ed, beer is a better excuse.
It is a better excuse, but and a more fun excuse, but never mind.
What is the beer
I did lose it on the first time I'd been out to work for about 3 months. So the first time I worked, people saw me on crutches was when I'd also lost a top front tooth. Oops. Oh, well.
So what's the beer of choice today?
The beer of choice today is a bottle of King Goblin from Witchwood Brewery.
Ooh, I've actually heard of that. It sounds yummy.
It is good. It is good. It's about 6%, so 12% proof if you like. Now let's turn to our announcement section. Austin, what we got this week?
So this week in the announcements, we have Google is conducting a user research program for users with cognitive needs and hard of hearing, and they have to use Android. They can use 90 minutes or short duration. Dates of October 5th to 31st. Everyone must use a tablet device to enter. Warren, would you like to expand on this announcement?
So basically, what's going on is that Google did not have enough of the people with cognitive challenges, and so they're putting in, including also those that are hard of hearing or deaf, something like that. And it was like an in-person thing, but now you could do it remotely. So that's why they want you guys to participate, and you need to be able to use a tablet. They want people that have tablets, whether you have a Fruitvale iOS tablet, iPad, whatever those things are called, or a Samsung tablet or any Android tablet. You can even participate if you have a watch. And so we'll have that link in our show notes so that you could join that, and they would be compensating you. It's $100, and there's also a diary entry for 3 days. If you want that, you could do that, which will give you another $45, 60 Canadian, and the 100 is 125 Canadian as well. So that's what it is. Look for that link in our show notes so that you'll help Google out here and also helps all of us.
Often on our email list and Telegram group, we get asked about whether there are smartphones that might be easier for people who are blind and are less confident using a touchscreen to use. And I'm delighted to say that to talk about one of these phones this week in the Spotlight section is Diane Ducharme, who's a program manager from Blindshell USA. Diane, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for taking time out on a Saturday to record with us live too.
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit then? What is the Blindshell Classic 2?
The Blindshell Classic 2 is a totally accessible cell phone. I call it a hybrid phone because it's in between a flip phone and a smartphone. It has actual tactile buttons on it. It's got a pronounced dot on the number 5 so that you can orient yourself. It does have a screen, but the screen is for display only. So you can tap, swipe, do anything you want on it, and it's going to do nothing. It's not going to mess you up. It's not going to cause any problems. It's for display. So the phone itself is about 5 inches tall, about 3 inches across, and a little less than a half an inch thick. On the top of the phone, there is a standard headphone jack. And on the bottom of the phone is where you'll find the USB-C port to charge it. On the back of the phone, there's a tactile SOS button that you can program either 911 or an emergency contact. So flipping the phone back over to the front, there's a rocker switch on the left skinny side of the phone. That's your volume. And then on the skinny side on the right, that button, it's about an inch long and it's halfway down the phone. That has 2 functions. If you just tap it, that's how you can get through your list of favorites. And if you hold it down, it'll say, I listen after beep, and that's how you can dictate to the phone. So the phone is actually divided up into 3 sections. You have the screen, then you have your navigation buttons, and then you have your keypad. And if you can kind of remember calculator keys, that's what these feel like. They're spaced very well apart, so you're not going to hit 2 keys at one time, but you can definitely feel each key. And then it's menu driven. So there's no swiping, no tapping, no twisting, rotaries, none of that stuff. It's all up and down and then selecting OK or back. So that's pretty much the layout of the Blindshell.
And design-wise, would you say it was a bit like a candy bar phone that you used to have? Is that kind of the size and feel of it?
Yes. And it actually, the innards are an Android base, but with the Blindshell twist to it. So it does. Go ahead.
No, sorry, you go.
I was going to say, so it does operate similar to an Android because it is that inside of it, but with the Blindshell hardware and software.
And before we dive into the phone as well, can you tell me a little bit about the company and how you're structured? Because it's a phone from the Czech Republic originally, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it?
It is, yes. So the way that Blindshell actually got started was, I think it was back in 2013. There was a college student who was at the Prague Technical University, I believe it was called. Anyway, he had a friend who was visually impaired, and his friends came to him and said, I don't know what I'm going to do because pretty soon I'm not going to be able to use this flip phone, and I need a phone that I can actually operate. So this college student developed a software that just used 4 navigational swipes, up, down, left, and right. And actually that was available on the App Store. It won Idea of the Year. He partnered with his professor. So it was a pretty big thing. And then after a while, people were like, yeah, this is great, but I really wish I had a phone with buttons. So then they developed a phone with buttons. And then in 2019, the original Blindshell came out. That's the Blindshell Classic. And then a year ago, actually now, the Blindshell Classic 2 came out. So it is the Blindshell headquarters are still in Prague, but in March, Blindshell USA took over the United States market.
That's really interesting. It's always good to understand the backstories of how these devices and apps get developed.
And people ask, why the name Blindshell? And it's because they had this idea submitted for this phone for this Idea of the Year contest, and they had no name for it. So I had to come up with something quick. And I guess in techie language, shell means user interface. So they just put blind and shell together, and that's how they came up with the name.
For anyone who's got the Blindshell Classic, can you tell us the difference between what the difference is between the two, the Classic and the Classic 2? Because somebody might be listening to this and thinking, "Oh, I've got the Blindshell Classic. Should I upgrade, or do I need the new features or not?"
Okay, so it's different hardware. The Classic is a little bit, it's actually thinner, maybe a little bit shorter, but probably the same in width across. So the difference are in the layout also of the hardware. So on the Classic, you have a giant square in the middle, and then you have 4, I don't really want to call them buttons, but they're almost like outlining the square. So that's how you would go left and right and up and down. There's also, if anybody's old enough to remember Chiclets, that little gum candy, that's to me what those buttons remind me of. They're in the shape and feel of Chiclets. They're more rectangular on the Classic. And the features of the Classic, you can call, you can text, you can email, you can use internet. It has FM radio, internet radio. So it has a lot of features. The difference with the Classic 2 is the hardware, where there's no giant square in the middle. It's 2 bars that look like an equal sign. So you navigate up and you navigate down, and then there's a separate OK button above the number 1. And also on the Classic 2, there's a lot more features, especially the vision aids. Those features are not available on the Classic.
What about things like using other apps like WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, Messenger, things like that? Are they available for the Blindshell, or can you only use apps that come with it? And do they come with it?
Okay, so that's a 2-part question. So first, you can only use apps that are in the Blindshell platform. So the reason we do this is because then we can guarantee that the phone is accessible, because many apps, as we all know, are not accessible. And even though they're accessible today, they may not be accessible tomorrow. So the Blindshell development team will take an app and they will customize it to the Blindshell phone. And then every update of that app still remains accessible. And while I'm on that, blind shells come with free lifetime app and system updates. So your phone will never be obsolete. So what I could do is I could go through the entire phone and show you all the different apps that are on it.
Signal strength battery state. Call. 1 of 7.
So the first thing is calling. So you can obviously call with your cell phone. And there's multiple ways to call. You can either go into the menu and choose call by number, call by contact. You can dictate using that button on the side, call so-and-so, or give it a phone number. You can also go into the call history, and that will allow you to see every incoming and outgoing call. And then if you wanted to, you could click the OK button on that number, and then you have the choice to call that person, text that person, add them to your contacts list. So there's multiple ways to do the calling. And then
messages.
Next thing is messages, and that's pretty much the same. So you can dictate it, you can go into the menu, you can have conversations with multiple people. You can also see your text log.
Contacts. 3 of 7.
So the next one is contacts, and that you can put in contacts, and I'll just open that.
Contacts list. 1 of 6.
So I'll
Add
go
new
into
contact. 2 of 6.
adding a contact. So when you add
First
a
name,
contact,
1 of 9.
there's 9 different things, actually 8 things, because the 9th is save contact. So you can put in their first name, their last name, their home phone, their work phone, their mobile phone, their street address, their email address, and then you have to save the contact. That's the important one there. So
add new contact. 2
and
of
you can
6.
also
Single button dialing. 3
assign
of
a
6.
single button dial to your contacts. You can also assign a specific ringtone to your contacts. And then you can edit your contacts and you can delete your contacts. So I'll back out of that one.
Contacts. 3 of 7. Applications. 4 of
So
7.
applications is what I call the big part of the phone. So we'll open that.
Internet browser. 1 of 12.
So it has internet browser, and that default is Google Chrome.
Tools. 2 of 12.
So I can go into tools.
Alarm. 1 of 12.
So you can set an alarm.
Calculator. 2 of 12. Calendar. 3 of 12.
So you can schedule your appointments.
Checklist. 4 of 12.
Checklist is a way to create a list, a shopping list, a to-do list, and then you can actually check things off as you do them.
Flashlight. 5 of 12.
Flashlight, I don't have enough sight to see it, but everybody tells me it's really, really bright.
Minute timer. 6 of 12. Notes. 7 of 12.
So notes, you can either type them in using the keypad, the old-fashioned way, or you can dictate them.
Stopwatch. 8 of 12. Translator. 9 of 12.
Translator is really cool. That just came on a couple of days ago. So I was actually shopping at Aldi's, and they have a lot of German stuff there. And I was like, oh, what does that word mean? So I went into the translator, and I was able to translate from German to English.
Unit converter. 10 of 12. Voice recorder. 11 of 12.
So voice recorder will allow you to use your own voice to record a note to yourself. You can record a meeting.
Weather. 12 of 12.
And it has weather. And so you will get your own weather, but you can also search for the weather in any city that you want in the world. So we'll back out.
2 of 12. Communication. 3 of 12.
Communication.
Email. 1 of 5.
So email. Right now, you can only put one email account on the Blindshell. However, I believe it's next week, a system update is going to be pushed to everybody's phone where you could put multiple email addresses on Blindshell now.
Facebook Messenger. 2 of 5.
So it does have Facebook Messenger.
Skype Lite. 3 of 5. Telegram. 4 of 5. WhatsApp. 5 of 5.
So that answers the question of can you have WhatsApp and Telegram? Yes, you can. So we'll back out.
Communication. 3 of 12. Media. 4 of 12.
Okay, I'll go into media. And all I'm doing is using these up and down bars and the OK button, and then the back button, which is a tactile button above the 3.
Audible, 1 of 13.
So if you have an Audible account, you could just put in your information and all your stuff will show up.
Camera, 2 of 13.
So the camera is pretty cool because it actually clicks to let you know it's on, and then it'll let you know when there's a face in view. And then to save the picture, you use your own voice. So it would be your description. So you could say, this is my son on his first birthday. And then when you go into your images, it'll be your voice telling you what the picture is of instead of just a randomly assigned number.
Document reader, 3 of 13.
So I like the document reader because you can take an attachment from an email and save it into your document reader and then just go in there and read it. So if you have, say you're going to a conference and you want the schedule. So instead of having to dig back through your email, you can just find it in your document reader.
FM radio, 4 of 13. Images, 5 of 13.
Images are where you'll find your pictures.
Internet radio.
So it
6
has
of 13.
internet radio, which I really like because you can listen to stations from all over the world, any kind of category you can think of. And that is actually coming out with an update next week to include even more stuff.
Music player, 7 of 13.
Music player is if you have a playlist and you want to put it on an SD card, which the Blindshell can hold an SD card up to 128 gigs. So right now on mine, I have a bunch of audio described movies that I can watch in Music Player.
Podcast player, 8 of 13.
Real simple to use podcast player.
Shazam, song recognition, 9 of 13. Video camera, 10 of 13.
So it does have a video camera
Video player,
and the video
11 of 13.
playback,
VoxyWeb, 12 of
which
13.
is another way to get on the web.
YouTube, 13
And it
of
has
13.
YouTube. So we will back out.
Media, 4 of 12. Books, 5 of 12.
So it has a book reader called LibreBox, which is, it has about 10, 12,000 books on it, and they're all read by volunteers, and it's a free book service. So you don't need to provide any kind of documentation that you're visually impaired. It's just available to everyone. We are looking to get Bard on. They are updating their platform, so they asked us to wait before putting it on the Blindshell. And we're also talking to Bookshare to get them on here as well.
Games, 6 of 12.
So it has a couple games. It has Simon, Hangman, Wampus. It has a dice roller, which people always say, why a dice roller? And I always say, well, if you get a bunch of blind people together who want to play a game with dice, who's going to read the dice? So you need a dice reader.
Vision aids, 7 of 12.
So going to vision aids, because that's an important one for us.
Ira Explorer, 1 of 11.
So it has Ira. So if you already have an Ira account, you can just put in your information, or you can create an Ira account right here on the phone. And right now there is a promotion with Ira that if you're a current Blindshell user or a new Blindshell user up until October 31st, and you register with Ira, you get 200 free Ira minutes that do not expire. So that's a pretty valuable deal.
Be My Eyes, 2 of 11.
And it has Be My Eyes. And the thing I like about Be My Eyes is it has all that specialized help. So you can contact Microsoft, Google, Procter & Gamble, or the ACB, NFB. You can get to them using your Blindshell now through the Be My Eyes.
Beepers, 3 of 11.
The beepers are a separate purchase if you want to purchase them. They're just like an AirTag or a Tile, but it's Blindshell's version.
Color indicator, 4 of 11.
It does have a color ID. It works as well as any app-based color ID. Got to find the right lighting and hold it a couple inches away from what you want to look at.
Google Lookout, 5 of 11.
So Google Lookout is awesome. As Android users, you probably have discovered Google Lookout, but I love it because it has that explore mode. It has a food label reader. It has a currency reader. You could read text. You could read documents.
GPS points, 6 of 11.
So GPS points is not available yet. This is a beta phone, so I get to see what Blindshell is working on, and so they are working on a GPS system.
Light sensor, 7 of 11.
So the light sensor is going to be coming out next week for everyone. So it'll tell you the intensity of a light, whether it's on or off.
Localization, 8 of 11.
Localization, I call it baby GPS. It's available now. It'll tell you the address of where you are.
Magnifying glass, 9 of 11.
So the magnifying glass is, again, I don't have enough vision to take advantage of this, but it goes from like a 3x to an 8x. So it's kind of like having a video magnifier built right into your phone.
NFC object tagging, 10 of 11.
Those use the same concept as those way around tags. You could use them to use your own voice to label an item and then pair the phone to the tag and then use the phone to read your tag.
QR object tagging,
And
11
that
of
works
11.
the same as the Pen Friend, same kind of system where you can label things. So we'll back out.
Vision aids, 7 of 12. Hobby, 8 of 12.
So Hobbies has a guitar tuner and a metronome.
Health and fit, 9 of 12.
That is a step counter. So you just put in a few demographics, your height, your weight, the length of your stride, and then you can start counting your steps every day.
Online, 10 of 12.
Online is Alexa. So we now have Alexa built in, which has opened up a lot more things now on the Blindshell because you can get your Bookshare books on there. You can, a Sirius FM, I understand people can get now on there. I mean, don't quote me on that one because I don't have it, but I've just been hearing what people have been saying. Anyway, so like my whole playlist is on Alexa. So now I can listen to it on Blindshell.
Shopping, 11 of 12.
Shopping is Amazon.
App catalog, 12
And
of
that's
12.
app catalog is where you will find your all the apps that are available. And it's really easy. You just go in there, you find the app you want, you hit OK. It asks if you want to download it. You hit OK. It'll automatically download it, install it, and put it in the right category.
Applications,
So we'll back
4
out.
of 7. Settings, 5 of
So
7.
settings, you can change the voice. You can there's 8 Google Voices on here. You could go male, female, Australian, whatever you like. You could change the speed of the phone. You could speed it up, slow it down. Languages, there's about 8 different languages you can switch it to. Go into
Sounds,
there.
1 of 11.
There's 120 ringtones you can pick from.
Keyboard, 2 of 11.
You can change whether you want, which key you want to be, which character you want deleted, whether it's the one that you're on, whether it's the one before that.
Display,
You can
3 of
change the
11.
display. You can make the font bigger, smaller. You can change the contrast. You can make it so that just text is on the screen or just icons are on the screen.
Networks, 4 of 11.
So that's how you could check your signal strength. You can also go into Bluetooth on there.
Favorite applications, 5 of 11.
Favorite applications, you can choose favorite applications. You could put them on that button on the side so that you don't have to go through the whole menu system to find the things you use the most.
Screen reader, 6 of 11.
So that's just the
SD card
voice.
format, 7 of 11.
Yep, I mentioned the SD card it's a micro SD up to 128 gigs.
Date, time and time zone, 8 of
If you
11.
need to change your time zone, you could do that there.
Language, 9 of 11.
That's the different languages.
System update, 10 of 11.
That's where you will go to update the system update.
About phone, 11 of
And
11.
that will give you your technical stuff, your IMEI number and all that kind of stuff. So let's back out.
Settings, 5 of 7. Manual, 6 of 7.
And then the manual is built into the phone and it is updated with each app that is updated as well. And the last one
Turn off the phone,
is
7 of 7.
turn off the phone. And that's how you would turn off the phone. So the Blindshell in the States currently works on the T-Mobile network or anybody who uses their towers. So you could use like Boost, Metro, Tello. Now, some people who are very technical have been able to switch the APN settings on their phone and get it to work with AT&T. Outside of the States, it'll work with anybody. So it's an unlocked phone. So that's pretty much the Blindshell.
Okay, so I was very interested about, like, when you were talking about the apps, how much of an internal storage does it have, the Blindshell, or does it have like different versions where,
Well, no, it's only one version. It's 16 gigs of storage, but with that SD card slot that it greatly expands it. I actually haven't known anybody who's run out of storage on their phone.
Okay, another question. So since I'm such an audio geek, I love audio. So what about the speakers and the microphones? Like, is it a dual speaker phone or just a simple, one speaker? The microphones also, are they stereo or, mono?
Oh, that is a very good question. I would say the speaker, I'm sorry, the microphone is probably stereo. I would say it is stereo because I've done some videos with it. The speakers,
Manual 6 of 7.
I'm guessing it's just one speaker.
Okay.
What struck me from when you were talking then, Diane, not only how many apps it had, but it sounds as though it's getting featured drops fairly often. If you got a translator last week, you're getting other stuff next week. How often would you say those sorts of update drops? It sounds like it's being pretty actively developed.
Yes. So what we say at Blindshell is, there's no limit to it. It's just continuing to grow and grow and grow. And we actively go out and seek different apps. So right now we're talking with rideshare apps. We're talking with pharmaceutical apps to get a glucose monitor reader on here. We love suggestions from people. We're talking with music streaming app companies. So we'll go as far as we possibly can, as far as people want us to go. We're going to keep going. It's limitless on what we want to put on this phone.
Talking of suggestions,
Mhm.
it struck me when you were talking about books that you mentioned getting various book companies involved, but you didn't mention Dolphin Easy Reader, and that's the main one in the UK for people with, for example, the RNIB library. That's our free library for blind people for audiobooks.
Yes.
But Dolphin Easy Reader also works with other files. I've only used it really for the RNIB, but I think there are some other libraries like Calibre. They're UK based.
Okay.
But I don't know how many users you have in the UK.
So on my phone, I have only downloaded the apps that work in the United States, but in the app catalog, every app that's available is in there. So there's apps in there that work for the Library for the Blind in France, the Library for the Blind in Israel, the Library for the Blind in Australia. I know there's a EU COVID pass thing. There's transportation systems for different countries as well. So I don't really know specifically if a country's Library for the Blind is in here or not already. It may be.
And who does the app development if, let's say, you want a transportation system app on it? Does the transportation system write for Blindshell, or do they write to you guys and ask you to develop the app for them?
If we get a lot of requests for an app, we'll take it to the development team. They'll contact that app and work with them. However, if somebody has heard about the Blindshell and they want their app on there, then they'll contact us.
And I was interested just to return to the exclusivity point as well, because that comes up quite a lot, the T-Mobile. It is just a question. I say just, it's obviously a bit technical, of changing those APN settings, is it? And then it will work with a GSM enabled network.
Yeah, so people have been quite successful with changing those to get it to work with AT&T. That's the only other network that I know of in the States that has been able to work with it. Now, we are in talks with other cellular providers as well to get the Blindshell on their towers as well. But I love the ingenuity of blind people. I mean, we're kind of like, oh, it can't? Well, yeah, let's see if it can. And they just, the stuff that people are doing on this phone just really amazes me, because there's actually 2 listservs out there. None of them are originated from Blindshell. They are from consumers themselves. So one is, if you want to check it out, and I recognize some of the names on the list here that people are on those listservs. So it's, first one is Blindshell 2. So it's Blindshell with the number 2, Blindshell 2 at groups.io. So you would do Blindshell 2, the + subscribe at groups.io. And the other one is Blindshell Classic, the + subscribe at groups.io. And if you have a Blindshell and you have questions, comments, if you don't have a Blindshell and you want to learn more about it, you can go on those groups. And the people on those groups are just wonderful with how they help each other out. And I do subscribe to them. I pop in if I know an answer to a question, or somebody has an issue, I will try to help them out. But they're not run by Blindshell. So, and also we do every other Thursday a thing called Talking Points at 1 p.m. It's a live Zoom call where, again, people can say, what is this Blindshell thing? Or, I found this on the Blindshell. This is really cool. Or how do I do this? So there's a whole Blindshell community out there. So there's a lot of support, which also brings me to, if you buy a Blindshell, and it doesn't matter who you buy it from, whether it's Blindshell USA or one of our distributors, we provide free training. So it doesn't matter if it takes somebody, 10 minutes to learn their phone or 10 hours. We will train them on how to use it.
That is amazing, because that typically kicks in at $30 plus an hour, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Do you have any Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on those phones? Because I didn't hear those mentioned when you were going through. Oh, they are on there.
Yeah, it does have Wi-Fi, so if you can get on your Wi-Fi, that, and Bluetooth. Right now, the only Bluetooth capabilities are audio. So you can connect it to a speaker, you can connect it to headphones. Unfortunately, you can't connect it to a Braille display yet. That's one of my pet peeves about it. So I'm always bothering the development team about that. What about a
QWERTY keyboard? Because I wouldn't like a phone where I couldn't use my QWERTY keyboard to reply to emails and things. Because yes, okay, there's dictation, but you probably know that can often go a bit wrong.
Yes. So you cannot use a Bluetooth keyboard, but you can use a wired keyboard with a USB-C port.
Yeah, they're usually quite bulky, though, aren't they?
The one I have, I certainly couldn't put into a pocket, but it's very slim, so I can stuff it into a backpack. It just makes it easier for people to, type, as you said, or if somebody has neuropathy or dexterity issues and they work better with the bigger keys on a keyboard, then that works well for them.
I'd recommend making it work with Bluetooth keyboards as well, because once it's paired, it's done, isn't it? It's and that would then, and then people could. And also, you mentioned Zoom, these Zoom talks. Does Blindshell? Can you get Zoom on Blindshell as well?
So not yet. That's the big one we're going after right now.
Oh, okay.
So what people are doing is you're still able to call in with the Blindshell through a Zoom invite, or you can go to zoom.com. Yeah.
Mm.
Dan, this is Warren. And something that, probably you may or may not know until you send us that review unit. Actually, we're going to be doing a blind Android users review of the phone and giving our opinion of the Blindshell Classic 2. Would you know what version? I know some have suggested it's running Android Go. Is that true? And if it's running Android Go, what version of Android Go is that? 8, 9, 10, or 11?
Honestly, I don't know. That would be a question that you could email info@blindshell.com, and they would be able to tell you that. Now, if somebody wants to know the stuff right from what Blindshell is saying, they can log on to our talking points every other Thursday and hear directly from us.
You're very receptive to suggestions, which is great.
We are. Yes, we are. And, although you say, okay, so if somebody needs buttons on their phone, they're probably not very techy or whatever. However, what we've been finding is that once people get their hands on this phone who weren't techy, they play around with it, they realize, I can go on the internet. My family always told me I couldn't do that because I'm blind. It's opening up a lot of doors for people. I had a gentleman who's in his late 60s who had, no technical experience. And now he's, making attachments to emails and podcasting and, watching YouTube. And it's just completely opened up the world to him.
That's so lovely.
Yeah, it really is.
Another question I had for you, a quick one. Can you read Kindle books on there? I know you can listen to Audible, but what about Kindle books? Because that's something I do a lot on my phone, because there are so many books that don't make it to Audible, but there is a Kindle version.
So I'm actually not sure about that. That's a good question. I'll have to look into that, but I would think possibly because it has Amazon on here. Now, can you read those through Alexa as well?
You can. So you could definitely do it that way anyway. But if you wanted to read it, actually, I don't know how you do things like turning the pages. So they'd have to make sure it worked, because with button pushes instead. But I suppose you could. Yeah, you could do it with Alexa, couldn't you?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yes, I've done that. I've read books on Kindle with Alexa. So yeah.
So Diane, I'm actually curious for anyone who's listening right now. They might be wondering about the pricing, though. How much does the Blindshell cost?
It's $489 American dollars.
Okay.
And just going back to text entry for a minute, is it the old sort of T9? You press
exactly
G for ABC, and that's all the way through for passwords and all the rest of it.
Yep, and you'd be surprised how quickly that comes back and how fast you can do that.
Oh yeah, I was pretty quick on the old Symbian phones.
Yeah, and also when you're in a text box, you can include, I don't know, what is it, 1,500 emojis? So you can actually go through them all. You could search for an emoji if you want to put that into your text.
I have a friend who doesn't use a Blindshell. He now has a smartphone, but I remember when he changed from the Symbian phones with the T9 text entry, he changed to a smartphone, and it was hilarious. His comment to me was, "It's going to be really hard to write drunk texts after a good night out now." So there you go. If you regularly want to do that, you should get a Blindshell.
There you go. Yeah, and it's also harder to do a butt dial with a Blindshell.
Hey, Diane. So another thing we didn't talk about, of course, we'll do this in our review, but just in case someone is wondering, how much of a memory does it have? Is it like 2 gigs, 3 gigs, or 4 gigs of RAM?
I don't know. All I know is it has 16 gigs of storage. So the RAM,
Okay.
I don't
So
know.
that
Again,
would be
that's
the job for blind Android users when we get a review unit, and we'll be reviewing that in depth. And frankly, I think this is a great thing. I've always argued that not everybody can use the touch screen, and I'm glad we have something in here to fill that void, because this is going to be a blessing for a lot of blind people, especially our brethren who are more on the elderly side, it's just easier to navigate. And I can see a lot of even younger people who don't have the time for the touch screen would find this as a great device to
Yeah.
use.
It's also a transition phone for somebody who's newly blinded and they're just not ready to tackle that flat screen. This could get them used to the world of the technology.
Absolutely. And the one thing that kind of thrills me about it is the fact that it does have lookout. So, for example, if
Yes.
one needs to scan something, they could use lookout there and be able to scan that. And now that InVision is free, probably you guys could get in talks with InVision to see if the developers of your apps could bring InVision to it and giving people a couple choices. So if one doesn't like lookout, they could also have InVision.
Yes, that is a great idea. And I always tell this story about Google Lookout when I was
And
at
also
my
there could
office.
be a currency reader.
What? I'm sorry?
A currency reader for the cash.
Yeah,
cash
the
reading.
currency reader is in Google Lookout.
So what type of a SIM card does the phone support? Is it a full-sized or micro?
It's a
Or what
micro
type?
SIM card. Yep, it's a micro. It's a micro SIM and micro SD card.
So it's not like a nano regular SIM card that one finds around.
Yeah, no, it's the micro. And there's actually talking about this, there's actually 3 slots on the Blindshell. There's all the way on the right is where you would put your SD card. The middle is where you would put the micro SIM card for the US, and on the left is where you could put a SIM card for outside of the US. And also, I didn't mention this, but the battery, it's an external battery, and the battery lasts 96 hours between charges.
Oh, Warren, it's a removable battery.
Oh,
Yep.
that is absolutely fabulous, Diane. I've
So
been
you don't have to check your
contending.
phone when the battery goes. Yep.
Well, Warren has a couple of obsessions, one of which is phones
I've
with
been-
removable batteries.
yes, and here's why. Because frankly, and I've argued that for any longevity of any phone, it has to begin with the battery. You could have 4 years support of OS, but if your battery is not going to last that long, that 4-year support is absolutely useless. So everything begins with the battery. I think you guys have a wise idea of making this battery removable, because that means one can use that phone for years to come. All that needs to happen, buy a new battery, you're good to go.
Exactly. Yes.
And you know what? I think this addresses like all of the main complaints that people have with modern smartphones. So it has a headphone jack still.
Yes.
It has a mic. It has an SD card slot. It has a removable battery. And I bet you haven't said this, but I bet it even comes with a charger in the box.
It does. It comes with
Yeah.
so in the box you will get, the phone, the battery. It comes with a lanyard if you want to wear it around your neck. It comes with a cradle, so you could charge it standing up in a cradle. It comes with the cable, and then it comes with the wall outlet. And it comes with a few of the labeling tags as well.
The NFC ones?
Yes.
Yeah. And that lanyard, I guess the lanyard predated Ira, but could you use that lanyard for wandering around using Ira navigationally, or would you recommend a different lanyard to the one with
I would definitely recommend a different one, maybe one of those phone pouches, because the lanyard connects to the bottom of the phone. So when it's around your neck, the phone would be upside down. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, and before I forget, the Blindshell also comes with a 12-month warranty.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
What is the battery like? If you need a new battery, does it have to be supplied by you or a Blindshell distributor, or is it like a standard normal battery you can get online sort of thing?
I'm not sure if you could buy them anywhere else, but I know we do sell them. I think they're $35.
Oh, sounds quite reasonable. It's a heck of a lot cheaper than buying a new phone anyway.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Well, Diane, this has been absolutely beautiful. We are thankful that you actually accepted to come on here and talk about it. And I think you've been in the up and up about the phone. There's nothing left to be revealed, but of course we'll do our own review.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and we'll talk about things like RAM that we are not able to determine today. We'll also talk about what version of Android it runs and things like that. And so those are minor, but the thing that makes me happy about it is the fact that you guys have that continuous updates, and sounds like Ed says, it seems like you guys are always working on something and keeping it updated with new items coming. And I think I encourage people who needed something different and a different alternative, that this would be a good route to go. And if you know of any uncles that are blind or struggling, you may want to give these guys a second look. It's a good phone.
So Warren, before we end this, I actually have a question. So Diane, can I plug it to probably a computer? And does it have a file manager? Because obviously
it does, yes.
Okay, so I can do that.
So, yes, you can. So if there's a document on your computer you want to put, you can do that. I haven't done it yet, but I know people on the listserv are talking about it, that they are taking MP3 files from their computer and downloading them to the SD card or their Blindshell, and then using those as their ringtones instead of the ones that come on the phone. So they're customizing their ringtones that way.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah, and so if you have an old phone and you want to transfer the contacts, you could do that as well. Get those contacts onto an SD card, pop the SD card into the Blindshell, and then you can import them right onto the Blindshell.
A suggestion that might be quite, some people might quite like as well, I think, would be if things can be sent via Bluetooth. Because if I have a ringtone and somebody else wants it, I mean, yes, I could send it through WhatsApp or something. But if somebody wasn't on those, that might be quite a nice thing to be able to do.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you.
Because some people don't have computers at all, but they might have a friend who's got a really great ringtone, and can just send it from using like Nearby Share or something like that. So it'd be good if that was enabled. But I suppose in the meantime, people can still do it, because you can you could send it in an email or something. But it's just a thought anyway.
Yeah, thank you. It's a good thought. So I am actually really excited about you guys, dissecting this as Android users, because you'll know more than, somebody who uses an Apple about the innards of the phone. So I can't wait to hear your review. So and please really dive into all the technical stuff.
Yeah, we will. We'll be fair, but we'll definitely put it through its paces.
Okay.
Yeah, and we need to see like if it has developer options in there, the about thing. I'm really curious to see what that about setting.
And some of us have used Android and Apple. So
I did myself.
So we've got the we've tried different things, and it'll be great to hear. I don't know who's going to be reviewing it, but we'll see. But
so Warren, did you already fill out the form to get the demo unit, or where are we with that?
I'll fill out the form, and we'll review it. If we get it before next week, or actually if we get it before that would be like the 15th of October rather, then we will have it for that week. We'll have a review of it for the 15th of October if we have it. Now, if we don't have it, then whenever we have it, we'll have that review.
Okay.
And thanks ever so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having
Thank you.
me.
It was an honor having you today.
Thank
Yeah, I
you. And
really
Thank you so much,
enjoyed the
Dan.
demonstration.
if
Yeah.
anybody has any questions, you can email me, Diane, Diane, at blindshell.com. I'm sorry, at blindshellusa.com. So it's Diane at blindshellusa.com. Or any general questions, you could do info at blindshell.com.
Can I just say I love how many apps and things it's got, because sometimes people assume, oh, if the person isn't up for a touch screen, all they'll need to do is phone calls and maybe the odd text. And
Mhm.
you guys haven't done that. You've gone, right, what more can we give them that they can do and be part of? And I'm particularly impressed about things like Messenger and Telegram and WhatsApp and that kind of thing, because those apps are so fantastic if you're blind, because
Yeah.
you can type in them, but you can just record messages, and people can record messages to you. I mean, my mum on holiday, she doesn't send me a postcard because I can't read it, but for example, she'll record the sea on a WhatsApp, or a
Oh, nice.
clock
Yeah.
that sounds nice or something like that, and just send it to me in a WhatsApp. So I'm really impressed with how many things it can do. I didn't realize that, because the last time I really heard a lot about Blindshell was when it was like the 4-way swipe thing.
Yeah.
And I used to think, well, that could easily go wrong and then and crash, and then the person would be really stuck. But this is a
Exactly,
whole different ecosystem, but based on Android, and it's amazing. So thank you so much for telling us all
Yeah,
about it.
and what's more impressive is that they actually still are planning more, which is awesome. So keep up the good work. I'm really impressed as well. It's amazing.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you
and
very
having
much.
having the apps like Lookout and Ira, Be My Eyes, all that on there too is awesome. And being able to assign those apps to specific key presses, like a physical key press, is something you can't do on most Android phones anyway. So that makes it even easier to use those apps.
Yeah, it takes me back to my Symbian days. You could do that on Symbian.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the positive feedback, and I look forward to all the technical stuff. I'm actually excited about that.
Thank you so much, Dan.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Bye.
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 Bye. Thank you.
Oh, and if you guys are come across an app that really looks cool, and it may not even be a mainstream thing, just let us know.
You'll hear from me about that.
Okay. All right.
And now we move to the second of our Spotlight double bills, and I'm delighted to say that we are rejoined after several months by Salih Kunduz from our sister site in Turkey to tell us about some important developments over there. Salih, how are you?
Well, I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm all right, thank you. Good to have you with us.
Thanks so much. It's nice to be with you after all. You know, the last time I was there, it was like around the 70 episodes. And now we're at 95. It's going to be 100 and it's going to be great. I'm really, really grateful, whatever you guys doing. And this is also an inspiration for us.
That's great to hear. And I think you've got some exciting developments to report from Turkey, haven't you? What have you been up to?
Well, we were working hard in the kitchen, cooking some really delicious kebabs, you know. So we are delighted to announce that apart from the website and YouTube channel, we officially have an Android app which people can download from the Play Store.
That's fantastic. Can you tell us about the app? What's the name of the app?
Okay, let's go from the beginning. You know, since we started the website, things were a little bit complicated for us and also for the readers. And we decided to do a big change, and we changed the whole structure to make it more accessible for everyone, and also for us, for the ones who design the backend, and also for those who want to visit the website. We went for a complete change in July and August, and then the reports and the feedbacks were amazing. Like the change was something everybody were looking for. And then the numbers were great, the ratings were great. Then we started uploading more videos on YouTube. And we then realized, you know, even though we have a lot of articles, a lot of FAQs on our website, still some people find it difficult to access web browsing on their Android device. Even though there are great browsers, accessible browsers, still there is a problem. Like some people don't really like browsing through links, headings, tables, and so on. And then we put ourselves in their shoes and we thought about what we can do. So then we started working on the app and we decided what we can do, what we can make for a better browsing experience. Because there are a lot of articles. We do more than hundreds of articles for beginners, even for developers. It's all handwritten articles, like from 10 different people in our team. Then we decided to make it accessible for everyone. Then the app idea came into life. That's how it is for the start.
Wow, that's really good. And it sounds like you focused a lot on written content as well, because I guess
Yeah,
audio podcast. Yeah.
yeah, written content because like everyone can find, even non-blind people can find something from there. Like mostly it's for the blind Android users, as your website says, but also for everyone, like how to turn off talkback or similar stuff. Like everyone can make use of. So we did a lot of articles back in time, all those months, and then a lot of articles deserve a better place. There is a website, YouTube channel, Twitter feed, or all the socials, but this is something we were looking for, and these all handwritten articles were deserving something better. That's how we started working on the app. I worked with the developer really closely for over 2 months to bring the app to the live. We did several testing with our team and make it more accessible, even much more user friendly from the website. It's not a complete native Android app, but still a hybrid app or whatever you call it. Still, it contains the elements of like any Android app, but still it's pretty user friendly and anyone can make use of it, especially for the ones who live in Turkey. Of course, for now, only the content is in Turkish, but we are looking for ways to make it globally. This is for the start, but it's going to be bigger for sure.
And how did you go about finding a developer to work with on the app?
Well, finding a developer wasn't so easy because the very first thing is the budget. Like you need to analyze the budget for this app and all those processes. It wasn't quite easy. Then we started a campaign, a local campaign, and we were looking for some designers. And then one of the designers that I knew earlier but didn't have a chance to talk, he came to us and he said he can work on this app in a considerable budget, and that's how we started working on.
So, do you have like a donation thing where people can actually donate money? Because obviously we're talking about the budget, and it's not really easy to find a developer and pay that developer.
Yeah, it's
Also, we
it's
have a
not
team.
easy. It's not easy, and all team members paid for themselves to develop this app, and we are looking for ways to have accept some donations from the country and all over the world, because we spend a lot of efforts, a lot of energy to make everything happen. The app looks great. The website is reborn, and there are a lot of written content. Even like when you visit from the Google Translate, you will see like professional written articles. I mean, I'm not really trying to show it off, but we even did a lot of proofreading, a lot of even like sometimes I was reading an article and my friend said, "Okay, this is not good. Let me clear it and write it again." So we always try to criticize each other and try to write the best. And of course, we will need donations because this is not sustainable for forever. You also, as a blind Android user, you also try to do the same because the site and the app, all of those needs, of course, some money.
Well, that is really great, Sally, because being a sister of blind Android users, we're focused on the podcasting side of things, even though we want to do articles. But I'm glad that you guys are there now. And I'm really kind of curious now. I'm wondering, with the capabilities of Android 13, if I would be able to install that app and have it translated into my language, my system language, which is English. And so I'm going to check that for giggles. And I'm not sure if that heavy lifting has to come from you guys or has to come from the translation thing that I will say, hey, make this app work in English or something like that. So this is going to be a test for that feature of Android 13. And so you'll be sending me that URL and I'll try to install
Yeah,
it.
of course. I'll be sending you the Play Store link. And like, we launched the app on Saturday last week. Like, it's been only 24 hours and we reached 50 downloads limit. And Google sent an email saying this is a great start for an app who doesn't know anything about,
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And now we have over 180 downloads right now.
That's
That
amazing.
is really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really giving me joy and giving me, desire to work on more, to grow things even more.
It
Is
gives
it
you
a free
motivation
app?
to carry on, doesn't it?
It's a free app for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No ads, nothing, just an app. That's it.
And when you say it was part native Android and part not, what's the user going to see? Is the user going to notice that? Like, are you using web views for the article, or how will the user know?
Okay, let me start talking about the app in a simple way. When you launch the app, there is a navigation driver on the laptop, as like any other, say, like modern Android app has in a navigation driver. And we have a search bar in the right top. And we have 5 tabs in the bottom side, where the homepage, where the apps, this app section is where we review the accessible apps by our team and put the apps one by one. Even some community members can suggest apps so we can review and put into the app section. And we also have a really good part saying dictionary. This dictionary is explaining all of the Android terms. For example, what is an what is PAGI? You said the age rating. What is Google Play Store? What exactly is Google Chrome? And what exactly is a browser? Like, for those who doesn't know anything about it, we have a dictionary for over 100 terms, at least for now. It's growing even more. And we also have the FAQ section where we have a lot of questions and answers, even from starters and for developers. For example, how can I remove the ads for TalkBack users from a developer perspective? And we also have the CSR section, because it's pretty popular in Turkey, where people can
Thank
find
you.
CSR.
You're amazing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. So that's it, where people can find CSR documents, because we translated all of the CSR's functions in sections as like a complete manual. It took us a lot of months to do this, but we did. And also we have the playlist of CSR using how to use certain features and so on, over like 20 videos, at least for now. And finally, we have our social links in the navigation driver. That's all. It's pretty simple, isn't it?
Now, I just lost faith in the app after you mentioned CSR.
Oh no, don't even go there.
No way.
Just giving you a hard time.
See,
However,
Warren's not interested in anything that actually works. So he likes pixels and he likes TalkBack.
Yeah, he likes pixel. Yeah.
but frankly, really, that is really great, Salih, that you have that arrangement. So it's just like any modern Android app, and it's nice that you guys have organized
it with those
view,
tabs
but
also
the
tabs buttons for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. So, if you're in Turkey, or I hope these things can be translated into English, and I would love to see that. But if you're in Turkey, you're hearing us, check that app out. We want to see 500 downloads next time we talk.
Yeah, that's going to be really great if we reach 500 downloads, and we're going to celebrate it for sure. And a good news is we are also on our way to start a podcast. We recorded the first episode yesterday.
Great.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And by the way, we do have you guys linked to our site. So if you understand the Turkish language, and whether you're living in the UK, living in Europe, living in America, wherever, please link up with these guys so you could enjoy the podcast as well.
Yeah, there is also a simple thing that people can do. Just copy the web address and paste in the Google Translator, and the translation is pretty accurate, honestly, because we tried our best to make things for like a beginner, so the translation works really well. At least anyone can understand what's in the content.
And is the app name something you want to give for any Turkish speakers we have, or should we just leave it to the show notes for the link?
Well, of course, we'll share the link for sure. People can go to Play Store and search for Erişilebilir Android. That's the name of the app. Everyone likes to have some difficulties to pronounce
So
in here.
can they, like, people who are Turkish, can they just type in that, or you'd need to spell that for them?
Well, they can write it easily because like they know what is accessibility and what is Android, so everyone can easily
I
understand
see.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Right.
That in English it means accessible Android, simply.
Great.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Salih, thanks very much.
I'm really glad to be here, and congratulations in advance for the 100th episode. I cannot wait for this.
Oh, thank you.
And I'll try to be there for sure.
Yeah, we'd love
Brilliant.
to have you.
We're looking forward
And,
to that.
Congratulations on
thank you
the
so much.
on the app. It's
But thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Salih. I'm so happy. This is absolutely some great news that you guys have reached this milestone. And frankly, guys, check them out. And it's a lot of stuff there. And I'm going to be checking it out myself. So if I find any problems I'm not happy with, I know who to call.
Yeah, of course.
What, Ghostbusters?
Most especially when there's CSR in there. I know who to.
Oh no! Oh my god!
You're gonna
No.
So who are you gonna call, Warren?
Of course, Salih.
Ghostbusters?
I could do that too. There's a ghost in the house, you never can tell. But no, this is
Because
absolutely
Google
beautiful.
says that to me sometimes. It says, who
But
do you want,
see,
who
they
do you
actually
want to
have.
call?
You know what?
Ghostbusters!
What's actually impressive is that they put in a whole section for CSR, and they
Yeah,
have talkback, I'm sure, but they don't have a section for it.
No,
That is really
we
good.
just have some articles for talkback, but we have a separate tab for CSR in the app.
see,
You know,
yeah,
that's it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks, Salih. Well, that's it for this week. Austin, where can people find us?
For people to locate us, they can email us with their questions or feedback or comments or recording submissions to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. They can browse our website, blindandroidusers.com. Check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/blindandroidusers. Subscribe to our mailing list, Blind Android Users, plus subscribe at groups.io. The links for Telegram and Twitter, Clubhouse will be in the show notes with all the other links. So that is it from us this week.
Well, that's it from us for this week, folks. We'll all see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.
Bye, everybody.
See you next week.
Thanks for listening to another clip from the Blind Android Users channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you're notified of every new material that we upload. Thanks again for listening to the Blind Android Users channel.